Creating ambience is not necessarily something that you can do without really feeling what you're playing. Even the word ambience, it's kind of an onomatopoeia. It really sounds like what it is. It's ambience. It's something that is atmospheric and really just engaging and dreamy and airy. I just love it. It's so cool. It's so fun to create this type of music, and it's very simple. As you could tell, I wasn't really playing much as far as notes and rhythm goes, but there's a few very important elements that I'm going to go over step by step in this video that will help you achieve this sound if it's something that you like or something that you've never really delved into. I will be using some effects, so if you have an acoustic guitar, you can still apply some of the harmony stuff that I'm going to talk about, but to get the most out of this lesson, you might want to have some kind of delay or reverb pedal. Really, I'm going to show you my approach to creating this ambient sound in hopes that you will pick out what you like and throw the rest away, and hopefully it'll inspire you to create your own ambient guitar sound. So the title of this video is Creating Ambient Chord Progressions. So I'm going to focus on the harmony. That is what's most important here. I'm gonna go over some effects and stuff later, but I think the foundational elements are what really create ambient music, and that starts with the harmony. The first word I want to throw at you, if you've never heard it before, is called dissonance. Dissonance is a tension. It's like a clashing of two notes that generally don't sound good together. But in my opinion, and in a lot of other people's opinions, they sound beautiful. So an example of dissonance would be something like this. There's no root note necessarily. It's just two notes stacked on top of each other that don't sound good together. So we have here, let's see, a C sharp and a D. So it's a half step apart. On its own, like I said, listen, you play that over and over, it's not good necessarily, but in the context of an ambient chord progression that perhaps has some type of droning bass, everything starts to come together very quickly. So that dissonant relationship, that intervallic relationship between two intervals, a half step apart, or even like a tritone. So as you could hear there, we're not necessarily concentrating on a major tonality or a minor tonality, happy or sad tonality with ambient music. I think it can be both. My point is, whatever chord progression you end up with, whatever mood you are targeting, the use of dissonant intervals is going to really help your cause in crafting the most effective ambient sound. So as far as the actual harmony is concerned, creating an actual chord progression, I'm just choosing an A to an E. The actual harmony that I'm going to end up with is just A major to E major. But I have the use of these dissonant intervals that is helping my cause and projecting me into this ambient atmosphere that we are continuing to establish. And the next element that I'm going to talk about is the tempo. I think a lot of my favorite ambient sounds, and you can associate ambient music, if you've never really listened to it before, as just like a cascade, a washing sound that just fills up your ears. It's very cinematic. A lot of movies rely a lot on ambient music. So that's the type of sound that I'm talking about if you're not familiar with the phrase or the term, or this is something that's new to you. Free tempo, a free time that is not defined by a metronome, is pretty crucial to really allowing the listener to be in this ocean of sound that you are crafting. So if you notice here, there is a semblance of tempo. You know, I'm pretty much in a very slow BPM, but I'm not on a particular beat. I am not adhering to any type of tempo necessarily. I'm just feeling, this comes back to the first thing I said in the videos, I'm just feeling when the chord is going to change based on my emotional state. My fingers are just on their own, moving freely, and I think that is being conveyed by the way the harmony is moving. So we've got dissonance, whether it's in a happy or sad tonality, that's up to you, and then we've got a free tempo. So the third piece of this video that defines an ambient chord progression that will help you create the most effective atmospheric music is the guitar effects themselves. And I am talking about delay, I'm talking about reverb, turn that wetness up, turn that time up, turn the repeats knob up, and I think effects are one of the most amazing things for guitar players specifically, because not a lot of instruments get to rely on these really cool pedals and things like that that allow us to create music that other instruments just can't do. And what I would encourage you to do is find a setting on a guitar pedal that really allows you to be creative. There's two ways of thinking. You can let the pedal lead your creativity, or you can come up with something completely dry, no effects or anything like that, and then use the pedal as enhancement. There's no right way to do it, but I'm going to show you how I like to use reverb and delay to really dictate the end product. And in order to do that, I'm going to play something with the settings I've been using throughout this video, and then I'm going to mess with some of the delay and reverb effects. So I'm going to just play something similar to what I've been doing, and then I'm going to show you how it's going to transform on the fly by amending some of the settings on my pedals. So you felt that difference, right? It really transformed when I changed those delay settings, and my idea completely changed. And I did not practice anything prior. That was all just live, noodling around with the same exact mindset, the same melodic idea that I had originally, but it just immediately evolved into something else that I wouldn't have come up with without those effects stirring that creativity. So that's my final point, is you are never going to know the potential of your creativity until you explore all the different areas of guitar playing, whether it's harmony, you know, using music theory, or if it's just messing around with two notes together in different effect settings, things like that. So you're never going to be fully satisfied, at least I'm not, until I can really get the most out of whatever idea that I am trying to make into a coherent piece of music. And that's not to say that you need an array of effects to be a great guitar player. I just think it's fun. That's the bottom line here. I'm not telling you to go out and buy a delay pedal, or I'm not telling you that you need a delay pedal to sound like an ambient guitar player, but it is a common denominator, I think, among this type of genre. So I would highly encourage you to mess around even with just plugins. I use Logic Pro. That's the rig that I have going, just Logic Pro plugins. And I also have an amp emulator that's kind of like a, you know, like a Fender Twin type sound, but really it's all about the emotion, the feel in your fingers, and then whatever happens afterwards using these effects can really dictate some cool sounds that you didn't know existed in your head because they're facilitated by an outside force such as a delay or a reverb pedal. So to conclude, we got the dissonant element, we have the free tempo, and then we have the effects driving the creativity, or vice versa, starting with the harmony and using the effects to enhance that to form something brand new. So those three elements I think are pretty foundational pieces to ambient guitar playing, ambient chord progressions in general. So I hope this was helpful for you guys. I hope I didn't put you out into space, into la la land. Or hopefully I did. Then that would mean that my music was doing what I wanted it to do, which was expanding your mind and making you think about the bigger picture. All right, guys, I had fun. I hope you had fun. I'll see you in the next video.